of a game. This is really good. When I found out about this, I was like, holy shit, why don't people teach you this like in bloody kindergarten? Okay, so the first one, you've got the spiritual plane, right at the top. You've got the mental plane, obviously, within your mind. You've got your emotional plane, how you feel. And then you've also got the physical plane as well. So this is the 3D world. This is very, very exciting to sort of chunk down on this. You think about the 3D world as everything that is happening around you. But you go into the emotional world, the emotional plane, that's a different experience on its own. Is it not? Because you can change the way that you feel to a pretty high degree, depending on how you think, and the pictures that you make within your mind, you'll change the way that you feel. Within your mental plane, well, it was only a few moments ago that we were standing around a giant tree within like a really grassy field on a sunny day, remember? And then within the spiritual plane, I mean, that's just the side of things that just is. It's the all. It's the fucking everything. It's the universe, whatever it is that you want to call it. And realistically, people don't know what the fuck it is. We think we do. We need to label stuff so we can sort of talk about it, but realistically, like, we don't. Have you ever laid there at nighttime and just thought about the universe itself? And then people talk about like the multiverse, but I'm like, yeah, but even a multiverse would have to live within inside a universe, and apparently that universe doesn't stop. And even if there was like a giant wall around the universe, like, how did it get there? But obviously didn't. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think someone that is very wise will understand that they don't really know, but yet they'll still choose to play the game. Rather than people that are very certain on the things that they know, it's like, okay, cool. Well, that's probably a very linear way of thinking sometimes. But you want to understand that sometimes people will come to you and it'll be a different level that their problem or challenge is on. How many problems or challenges will people come to you, do you think, that's actually like a spiritual plane problem? A little or a lot? I'm going to say probably a lot. This is just my assumption, right? Because you guys wouldn't be in this group doing this training if you weren't, super switched on and on that same level, so to speak. So what I mean by this is, remember the person that came in, it was only a couple of weeks ago, they came in, they're like, oh my God, like, people think that I'm going crazy. One day I wake up and I feel like I'm doing really good. The next day I wake up and I just feel like I want to curl into a ball and I don't want to talk to anyone. I feel like I can feel everyone's shit. I was like, oh my God, you're describing like my life in a nutshell. And they're like, what? I'm like, I do that all the time. I can feel what other people feel. It's the weirdest thing ever. And they're like, oh, is that a thing? And then like maybe you start unpacking. It's like, yeah, this is quite a normal part of life. If you're starting to hear things and see things and start, sort of coming online, so to speak, I would say that that's more of a so-called spiritual, it's not a problem, but it's a spiritual solution. Now, what if they come to you and they start talking about things that maybe it's going on in the mental plane, pictures that they're making up within their mind, beliefs that they have within their mind? Well, it's going to be like a mental side of things. What about the emotional side of things? Oh, I feel all these sorts of different things. Everything, spiritual, mental, emotional, is going to play out on the physical realm, the 3D world. So what I'm getting at is, if you can tick the boxes of all four of these, you're going to help someone out immensely, because this is going to be true alignment, isn't it? The funny thing is, the spiritual plane doesn't need alignment. Why? Because that's where it comes from. The mental plane, does it need alignment? Hugely. If you're thinking that, oh, I'm not good enough, that I'm stupid, that I'm not worthy, all these sorts of things, well, that's not really going to be aligned with your so-called source, your spirituality, whatever it is you want to call it. If your emotion side of things is dread, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, humiliation, all these sorts of, really dense emotions, how do you think your physical world's going to play out? It's probably going to be a giant shit fight, to tell you the truth. So the cool thing is, with these tools, with these techniques, with this way of doing things, you can align the physical, align the emotional, align the mental plane in order to then bring that person into alignment to the best of your ability and the best of their ability, and you'll watch the magic unfold in front of their own eyes. So this is more a fluid approach rather than a force approach. Rather than trying to make things happen, it's aligning and allowing them to happen. But not in a way where you just sit on the couch and don't do anything, because that's going to the polar opposites of both sides. You want to be right in the alignment phase. You're doing all the things that you're so-called meant to be doing. So when you are talking to someone, I want you to start asking the questions. Where are they at on these 4 planes? And realistically, the spiritual plane is good to rock and roll. It's the mental, the emotional, and the physical. And if you really think about it, the physical is just a projection of the mental and the emotional. That's why in this game, so to speak, we focus a lot on the mental plane and the emotional plane. You clear out someone's anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, negative emotions from the past, they're going to go like an absolute rocket. You clear out these so-called limitations or the things governing them within the mental plane, they will go like a rocket. Not only in the physical, but also in the spiritual realm as well. So this is a very vital tool. You could use this as a tool to teach the people that you're working with. Turn your notebook around, draw 4 little squares, teach them about the spiritual, mental, the emotional, and the physical plane. And if they are not aligned within these planes, they're going to experience conflict, suffering, pain, things that they do not want to experience. And all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, this makes so much sense. And they'll say things to you like, why isn't this taught at schools? And you'll say, I know.